You've been doing fasted walking for months, every morning, before breakfast, before coffee, before anything. And for a while, it worked. The scale moved, your energy improved, your waist started to change, and then somewhere around 40 or maybe 45, something shifted. You're still doing the same walk, same distance, same time, same empty stomach, and the results stopped, not slowed down, stopped. And you're standing there wondering what changed, because you didn't change anything, but your body did. And today we're going to explain exactly what happened and what to do about it. But first, I need to tell you something that most fasting and walking content will never say. Fasted walking is one of the most powerful fat-burning tools available to the human body. The science behind it is real. Walking in a fasted state, when insulin is low and glycogen stores are depleted, forces your body to turn to stored fat for fuel. Growth hormone is elevated. Fat oxidation increases. And visceral fat, the deep, dangerous fat around your organs, is particularly vulnerable during this window. This is why fasted walking works so well in your 30s. Your hormonal environment supports it completely. Insulin sensitivity is high, growth hormone responds strongly, and the fat-burning signal gets through loud and clear. But after 40, that hormonal environment begins to change. And the same walk that used to unlock your fat stores now barely moves the needle. Not because fasted walking stopped working, because your body needs a different version of it. Here's what actually changes after 40, and this is where it gets genuinely interesting. The first change is cortisol sensitivity. Before 40, your cortisol follows a predictable daily curve. It peaks in the morning, which is actually what helps drive fat burning during a fasted walk, and then drops steadily through the day. After 40, that curve becomes less predictable. Cortisol stays elevated longer into the morning. And here's the problem. When you do a fasted walk, especially if it's longer than 20 minutes or at a pace that feels even slightly challenging, you add an additional cortisol load on top of an already elevated morning baseline. And after 40, with increased cortisol sensitivity in visceral fat tissue, that extra cortisol load can actually trigger fat storage rather than fat release. Research published in 2025 in the Journal of Clinical Endocrinology confirmed that adults over 40 who performed moderate intensity fasted exercise showed significantly higher post-exercise cortisol levels compared to younger adults performing identical exercise, and that this cortisol elevation persisted for up to 4 hours after the walk ended. You are doing the same walk, but your body is responding to it completely differently than it did at 35. The second change is growth hormone response. Fasted walking works in part because it elevates growth hormone, which drives fat oxidation and protects muscle mass. Before 40, your growth hormone response to fasted exercise is robust and immediate. After 40, that response begins to decline. A 2025 review in Endocrine Reviews confirmed that growth hormone pulse amplitude, the size of each growth hormone release, declines by approximately 14% per decade after age 30, which means the growth hormone surge that made fasted walking so effective at burning visceral fat in your 30s is now significantly weaker. The same stimulus produces a smaller response, and the fat-burning signal that used to be a shout is now closer to a whisper. The third change is muscle protein breakdown. In a fasted state, your body draws on multiple fuel sources: stored fat, liver glycogen, and in some cases, muscle protein. Before 40, your body preferentially uses fat during a fasted walk and protects muscle. After 40, the balance shifts. Muscle tissue becomes more vulnerable to breakdown during fasted exercise as anabolic hormones decline. Research published in 2025 in the American Journal of Physiology confirmed that adults over 40 showed measurably higher rates of muscle protein catabolism during fasted exercise compared to younger adults, even when walking at the same pace for the same duration, which means the fasted walk that was purely burning fat at 35 is now burning some muscle too. And less muscle means lower insulin sensitivity, and lower insulin sensitivity means more visceral fat accumulation over time. The very tool you're using to fight belly fat is quietly contributing to the conditions that cause it. And now the twist that completely reframes how you should approach this. Here's what nobody tells you about fasted walking after 40. The problem is not the fasting, and the problem is not the walking. The problem is the combination of duration and intensity at the wrong time for your post-40 hormonal environment. The fix is not to stop fasted walking. It is to modify it in 4 specific ways that work with your biology instead of against it. The first modification is duration. Cap your fasted walk at 20 to 25 minutes maximum. Before 40, a 45-minute fasted walk was optimal. After 40, it pushes cortisol into the range that triggers fat storage rather than fat release. 20 minutes is long enough to deplete remaining glycogen, elevate growth hormone, and shift your body into fat oxidation without adding the cortisol load that shuts the process down. A 2025 study published in Metabolism confirmed that short-duration fasted walking of 15 to 20 minutes produced superior visceral fat reduction in adults over 45 compared to longer sessions, specifically because the shorter duration kept cortisol within the fat-burning window rather than pushing it into the fat storage zone. The second modification is pace. Your fasted walk after 40 should be genuinely easy. Not a power walk, not an incline treadmill. A pace where you can speak in full sentences without breathing harder than normal. Here's why this matters. Even a moderately challenging pace, something that feels like a 3 out of 10 effort, activates your sympathetic nervous system enough to spike cortisol meaningfully in a post-40 hormonal environment. An easy conversational pace keeps your nervous system in parasympathetic mode. Cortisol stays low. Fat oxidation stays high. Growth hormone gets the space to do its job. The walk should feel almost too easy. That feeling is not a sign it's not working. That feeling is the signal that your body is in the right hormonal state to burn visceral fat. The third modification is timing. Most people do their fasted walk immediately after waking. Before 40, that is optimal. After 40, it can be counterproductive. Here's why. Cortisol is naturally at its highest in the first 30 to 45 minutes after waking, the cortisol awakening response. If you immediately add a fasted walk on top of that peak, you amplify cortisol at the exact moment it is already at its highest point of the day. The better approach after 40 is to wake up, drink water, spend 15 to 20 minutes moving gently around the house, making tea, light stretching, quiet activity, and then do your fasted walk. This allows the cortisol awakening peak to begin its natural decline before you add the additional cortisol load from exercise. Research from the University of Birmingham published in 2025 confirmed that a 30-minute delay between waking and fasted exercise significantly reduced post-exercise cortisol levels in adults over 45 compared to exercising immediately upon waking. The fourth modification is the post-walk nutrition window. This is the one that makes the biggest difference, and the one almost nobody gets right. After a fasted walk, your body is in an elevated insulin-sensitive state. This is actually an advantage. Your muscles are primed to absorb nutrients efficiently, but most people over 40 either eat too soon, collapsing the fat-burning window before it's fully complete, or wait too long, allowing cortisol to stay elevated and cortisol-driven muscle breakdown to continue. The optimal window is 20 to 30 minutes after your fasted walk ends, and the optimal first food is protein with fat. Eggs, salmon, full-fat Greek yogurt with minimal fast-digesting carbohydrates. This combination sends the insulin response your muscles need to recover while keeping the overall insulin level low enough to allow fat oxidation to continue for another hour or two into your fed state. Now here's the additional piece that pulls everything together, and the one that most people over 40 never connect. Sleep quality is the hidden variable that determines whether your fasted walk burns fat or muscle the next morning. Deep non-REM sleep is when growth hormone surges, and that growth hormone surge is what sets up your fat-burning potential for the fasted walk the following morning. When sleep is poor, growth hormone release is suppressed, which means you wake up the next morning with lower growth hormone, higher baseline cortisol, and depleted fat-burning potential. Your fasted walk starts in a hormonal deficit before you even put your shoes on. This is why the same walk that works brilliantly after a good night of sleep produces almost no results after a poor one. Protecting your sleep, cool room, complete darkness, no food 3 hours before bed, no screens 60 minutes before sleep, is not separate from your fasted walking protocol. It is the foundation of it. And now, the final twist, the one that reframes everything. Fasted walking after 40 is not broken. It just needs to be respected differently. Your body after 40 is not less capable of burning visceral fat. It is more sensitive to the hormonal environment in which that fat burning happens. A 20-minute easy walk 30 minutes after waking, followed by a protein and fat meal 20 minutes later, is not a compromise. It is the optimized version of fasted walking for the biology you actually have at 40, 45, 50, and beyond. The people who keep seeing results from fasted walking after 40 are not doing more. They are doing it smarter, shorter, easier, later, and eating better afterward. Here's your updated fasted walking protocol starting tomorrow. Wait 30 minutes after waking before you start your walk. Keep it to 20 to 25 minutes maximum. Walk at a genuinely easy conversational pace. End the walk and wait 20 to 30 minutes before eating. Break your fast with protein and fat. No fruit juice, no cereal, no protein bars with sugar. And protect your sleep tonight so tomorrow's walk starts from a position of hormonal strength rather than deficit. Drop a comment right now and tell me, how long have you been doing fasted walking, and when did you notice it stopped working? I want to know. And if this video finally explained why your morning walk stopped delivering results, subscribe, because next week we are going deep on exactly why the scale stops moving after 2 weeks of fasting and the specific hormonal reset that gets it moving again. That video connects directly to everything we covered today. You will not want to miss it.